Mm-mm. All right, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the channel. It's your host, JP. It's your host, JP. I'm at the studio right now. So we're going to be talking about some topics today. Trump taking over Venezuela. So that's one of the subject matters right now. We'll be talking about. And I really don't know much about it, but from my knowledge, Trump went yesterday and he bombed Venezuela and took the president out of Venezuela. So we're gonna be talking about see what's going on, see what the news is talking about. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe to the Janvier family, to my other YouTube channels, Zolive TV and Facebook. Make sure you like both of them. All right, so let's get into it. Let's see what's going on. Play a little news clip and go from there, right? So what's your opinions about the situation? I'm not sure if you guys are into politics or not, but it's affecting us, so we have to figure out what's going on with it. All right, so that's the topic's going away. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got.
Maduro will face multiple drug charges. Venezuela calling this, quote, an imperialist attack and urging citizens to take to the streets. The stunning announcement came a few hours after explosions rocked the Venezuelan capital of Caracas. Trump said more information about the U.S. operation would be provided at a news conference later this morning that we, of course, will have right here on ABC News Live. But right now, we have ABC's Matt Rivers here with us. And Matt, you actually just came from the region. Just weeks ago, you were off the coast of Venezuela covering this.
And no one, I don't think, really thought that this was going to happen. Sure, anything was on the table, right? Everything was a possibility, but the idea that in just a matter of hours you had not only massive U.S. military strikes, but special forces going in and taking President Maduro out, it is truly a remarkable story. The United States launching an extraordinary nighttime attack on Venezuela. Dramatic video capturing the U.S. strikes overnight. Explosions ringing out in Venezuela's capital city beginning just before 2 a.m. local time. The night sky above Caracas turning bright orange, massive flames engulfing the air. Those giant plumes of smoke seen from miles away. President Trump confirming the strikes and announcing the United States has captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Trump writing online, the United States of America has successfully carried out a large-scale strike against Venezuela and its leader, President Nicolas Maduro, who has been, along with his wife, captured and flown out of the country. This operation was done in conjunction with U.S. law enforcement. Venezuela's defense minister, speaking from an unknown place, calling it the most criminal military aggression from the U.S. in the history of our country. The massive escalation coming after a significant U.S. military buildup in the region. The Pentagon striking more than 30 boats the U.S. alleges were involved in drug trafficking operations, at least 115 people killed since those strikes began on September 2nd. In a memo obtained by ABC News in October, the administration telling Congress that America is in armed conflict and that drug cartels are deemed unlawful combatants. President Maduro facing drug charges, including narco-terrorism conspiracy since Trump see Maduro gone.
So how far would you go to take Maduro out of office?
I don't want to say that, but
But you want to see him out?
his days are numbered.
Can you rule out an American ground invasion?
I don't want to rule in or out. I don't talk about it.
For his part, Maduro had said just one day ago that he was open to talks with the U.S., and in a separate pre-taped interview released Thursday, described a recent call the two had.
Nosotros hemos tenido
Saying, I think that conversation was even pleasant, but the events following the conversation haven't been pleasant. Let's hope.
Just absolutely stunning developments here. And Matt, you're learning a lot more about what this operation was like, because we're talking about U.S. Special Forces involved. What this operation was like, because we're talking about U.S. Special Forces involved.
Yeah, each kind of hour that goes by in this story, Gio, we're learning more and more details that just are more stunning than the next. And so President Trump was actually just on Fox News, and he gave out some details. Forgive me, I'm going to reference my phone here because we're just getting this information in. But he says at one point that Special Forces went into the complex where Maduro was living. They had to break into what he describes as steel doors, the kind of safety room that the heads of state often have to kind of hide in these sorts of situations. He's saying lots of helicopters, lots of different fighter jets, and then he described it as an Osama bin Laden type raid where he could watch this raid play out in real time. So he basically said that Maduro was trying to do everything possible to stay away from this, and yet these special forces were able to get in. Crucially, he says he does not believe, he doesn't know, he said on this interview, but he thinks no Americans were killed. He thinks one of the American helicopters might have been hit. He thinks there might be some injuries. He says, I have to say, a couple of guys were hit, but they came back and they're supposed to be in pretty good shape. So it does appear that there might have been some American casualties in this raid, but this is just these early stages where we're still needing so much more information about what happened here. But this does seem like an incredibly complex operation that did perhaps result in some American casualties.
And difficult to get information because U.S. reporters are not allowed in Venezuela at the moment right now. What's the reaction been like? Because you look at the streets and we've seen those images, lots of Venezuelans appear to be celebrating.
So it really depends on what side you're on here. There are going to certainly be people in the capital, many of whom are on the Maduro payroll or have been in one way or another, or just are true believers who will come out and be very pro-Maduro and want to come out and support the government. But I think it's fair to say that that is a minority in the country. Within Venezuela itself, you've got the vast majority of people who are not pro-regime. Absolutely not. They might be a bit nervous about what's going to happen next. So that's the people in Venezuela. And then outside of Venezuela, we actually have some sound that we can play here with people in the diaspora, people who have left. We know millions of Venezuelans have left in recent years, many because of political persecution. They will be among the happiest. Let's hear what some have to say.
Somos libres, todos estamos felices de que cayó la dictadura y que tenemos un país libre.
Me siento bastante venezolano el día de hoy, después de tantos años, después de muchas luchas, después de mucho trabajo. Hoy es el día, hoy llegó el día y es el día de la libertad. El día que tanto los venezolanos como yo, como todos, como todas.
Man, it's good to be home.
He's been on a wanted list since 2020, the first time we saw that indictment.
That's right. He was indicted first 6 years ago under the first Trump administration, alleging the very same things, narco-terrorism conspiracy, and saying that he had corrupted Venezuela. And the Attorney General at the time, Bill Barr, said that corruption has to stop. This has to end, he said. It now appears that it has with the capture of Nicolas Maduro, who was taken by U.S. Special Forces, put on a ship, according to President Trump, the USS Iwo Jima. So in that way, Gio, the U.S. is treating Maduro the way they would have treated foreign terrorists from Al-Qaeda or something, taken off the battlefield of the Mideast, put on a ship in international waters, and eventually we're told he will be flown here to New York to face these charges, as the Attorney General Pam Bondi put it today, the full wrath of American justice.
And so he's going to face an American court system. We know that potentially in Brooklyn, that's where he would be held.
He would potentially be held like all other criminal defendants awaiting trial in New York at MDC in Brooklyn, the very same place where Sean Combs spent some time, or Sam Bankman-Fried, or Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president of Honduras, who was also convicted of American drug charges. before he was pardoned in November by President Trump.
And we're seeing those live images there. That is the facility there in Brooklyn, New York, where he's expected to be taken to. Aaron Katersky, thank you so much. We'll let you get back to your sources there and follow more on this. Lots of breaking news to discuss here. Let's bring in former National Security Council Senior Director for Counterterrorism, Javed Ali, for more on this. Javed, thank you so much for being here. What's your reaction to this operation, and why has Trump been so focused on Venezuela?
So, Joe, nice to be with you this morning as well. And based on what we're hearing about the operation, this seems like it was much more limited in scope, in the objective being the capture of Nicolas Maduro and his wife. Potentially, there may have been other people as well on that target list, but at least Maduro and his wife, because there are standing indictments against them, as Aaron's segment just indicated. But this doesn't appear to be a larger military campaign using the much broader set of military capabilities in the region that the ABC and other networks have been reporting on for months. That doesn't mean that that won't happen in the future, but at least right now, this was much more limited in scope.
We heard Aaron just talk about the narco-terrorism charges. Well, what does that mean to people? I mean, because I know that a lot of people probably aren't familiar with that term.
So the specific charges that are captured in the indictment or indictments against Maduro and his wife lay out these federal crimes that they are alleged to have committed with respect to conspiracy to import drugs into the United States and perhaps weapons as well. Their association with what are now organizations labeled as foreign terrorist organizations that are also operate as drug cartels. And so these are the federal criminal charges that Maduro and his wife are going to face once they get arraigned and enter into that federal facility in Brooklyn. And then they're going to go through the U.S. legal system. And whether that means a trial, whether that means a plea deal, we don't know how that's going to unfold. But the U.S. government still holds the burden of proof to prove in an open court that they are guilty of those crimes. And the evidence they will use is going to be interesting as well.
And Javed, I understand this question may be difficult to answer, but what does this mean for Venezuela's future? And of course, the relationship between the U.S. and Venezuela?
Yeah, Gio, that's a great question, and it's not clear what the next step is. So will the current vice president of Venezuela, will she move up in power through some formal process in Venezuela to become the sitting president? Likewise, will the military, which is probably the strongest institution inside of Venezuela, will they attempt to institute some kind of takeover and restore order in the country in the absence of Nicolas Maduro? On the flip side, will there be an attempt by the U.S. to bring in opposition leaders and have them become the new president of Venezuela? Unclear. Maria Machado or others, unclear if that's a goal or an outcome, and how that will.
All right, so we're gonna do another video. See what else we could put on here. Let's see what else we could put on. All right, so yeah, it's a crazy situation with Donald Trump and Venezuela. I guess he's in the federal prison right now. Him and his wife. He got his wife too, Carmen. That's crazy, huh? But they said that he had lost the election, right? But he decided he didn't want to leave office, so he kept his position for a couple of years too. That's one of the reasons why too. They said a lot of the Venezuelan people were happy about it. They were happy because he lost the election. The president lost, but he said, nah, he wanted to keep his position. Yeah, he stayed in his position. Yeah, stayed that president. Like a dictator. He didn't want to give up his power. And already,
actually
he
happened.
lost by like
But
80%.
when we've seen these kind of regime change.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons. Yeah, he couldn't become. They couldn't. All right, folks. So we'll put the Donald Trump. Donald Trump gave a speech, I think yesterday, addressing the issue, and we're gonna play that for you guys.
This robotic puppy is so lifelike, it actually fooled my neighbor who...
We are going to play that video for you guys to watch. Mr. Donald Trump talking about.
We appreciate you being here.
All right, like, comment, subscribe. We are live at the studio.
Late last night and early today.
Let's get into it.
At my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones, like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, it's Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors, operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement, caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, we're just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. with capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually.
Are you looking to establish your business using an address other than your home? Well, at iPostal One, we can help with that. You took the leap and started your own company. Great. But you don't want to use your home address to register your business. It's unprofessional and unsafe. But you already know that. At iPostal One, you can get a real physical street address. Choose an address from thousands in our network and immediately upgrade your brand image and protect your privacy. Unlike a P.O. box, you can also use it with your business registration. We receive your mail and packages, and all you have to do is view and manage them with our app or online. It's as easy as that. Upgrade your business image and mail experience today with a digital mailbox from iPostal1.com.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Feeling a vibe? Run with it. From can't look away to gotta have it. Make every detail yours. Bring out what's hot. Remove what's not. Crystallize it. Instantly set a tone that speaks in your voice to your audience. Keep moving. Your site grows with you. Add solutions that meet you where you are and take you where you want to go. Smooth to make, Easy to love.
Cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many, many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now, they're on a ship they'll be heading to, ultimately, New York. And then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. And you all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over, in particular, the United States. Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide. And he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal. But they're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have on average two a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives, they walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard. I want to thank our military. And I want to thank law enforcement. Been amazing. And they should do it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and we're doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now. And crime is down. We've just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called, great person, and he wanted us to help him, as you know, in a certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. And it was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing. And we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned, Tren de Aragua, and they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years, I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungari from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungari, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. It was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane asylums. They came from prisons and jails. The reason I say both, they sound similar. Actually, prisons a little bit more hostile, a little bit tougher. A mental institution isn't as tough as an insane asylum, but we got them both. They sent from their mental institutions. They sent from their jails, prisons. They were drug dealers. They were drug kingpins. They sent everybody bad into the United States, but no longer. And we have now a border where nobody gets through. In addition, Venezuela unilaterally.
All right. So it's a lot going on with Venezuela and Donald Trump, but I'm about to end this live real quick. But I just had to say, you guys stay safe out there. Stop the violence. You know what I'm saying? You can always talk it out. If you got problems with somebody, you can work it out. Then when you don't have to have any violence. And keep the peace. All right, I'm out. Take it easy. Peace.